Yo, what's up, guys? So, Respawn just announced the new patch notes for the next event called Lost Treasures, and within it, some pretty big changes specifically for Wraith. Hopefully, we're gonna see a positive and healthy meta swap in the competitive scene. But without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, the first change that we see is the lifeline. Now her previous passive with her fast healing and shield when she rests is gone. Instead, she has the little heal zone just automatically rest for her, so she can rest her teammates and still be in the fight. It's gonna be a pretty big change, and we're definitely gonna see lifeline be picked in probably every single rank game. In competitive, it would be interesting to see if she's gonna be played for some Gibraltar teams like Complexity that W keys a lot, pushes every single fight, because without a doubt, Lifeline is gonna be like the best champion to have for a team when you're fighting. It would be interesting to see if she's even gonna replace some Wraiths in some W key teams, just because of how Wraith is getting changed, which I'll get further into in a bit later. So the cooldown on her Q, her heal bot, is decreased. So you can fight, you can reset after a fight faster. And a general upgrade, general buff to the ultimate, which is pretty interesting. Octane, you're no longer slowed when you press Q, like from anything at all. And there's not really that many changes to Octane that are that interesting. You can now double jump mid-air, which is this is like the biggest change for him. That and the fact that you can change directions in the double jump. It's gonna make him pretty fun in pubs, especially because Pathfinder was really boring ever since the grapple nerf. So Octane is probably gonna be the most picked character after this buff in public games. So it's gonna be good to see. It's definitely not gonna see any play in ranked or competitive, not unironically at least. Revenant is it might be a sleeper pick because in EU and NA you won't see anyone play him. We saw some play from Liquid. We saw them play it for a little bit, and we saw them play Revenant. But in Japan and Asia in general, you see a lot of Revenant being played relatively to the meta. And by a lot, I mean 5 or 6 teams. So with this change, it's going to be really interesting to see. She's now going to cancel Pathfinder mid-grapple and the Wraith when she's about to go into her Q. So that's going to be interesting to see. Prevents some Mirage stuff. There's not going to have any effect on competitive whatsoever. They removed the range on Death Totem, which is a pretty big change because now you can just now you don't have to worry about anything. Now you go into the ult and you double key and like you have nothing to worry about. For Crypto, it takes less time for him to pull out the drone. Not a big change, not like not something that's gonna be game changing. His EMP now no longer does 50 damage or 50% damage to the Watson pylons. It straight up removes them. Watson pylons, of course, being Watson's ult. Might see some more play in competitive. Might see some guys trying it out, but definitely not something that's gonna be meta changing in competitive play. Loba's Q, her teleport, is no longer cancelled by Watson ult, which is a pretty good change because before it felt really punishing for her Q to get eaten by the ult. So we might see some more Loba in public and ranked games. Nothing game changing in competitive though. Ultimate, before you would when you picked up ammo, you would fill up your current slot and you would get a stack. Now they've removed that, so you only get a stack. A nerf. Ultimate cells now give 2.5 extra percentage. Basically, Loba is still useless. Mirage, basically useless. You can now create decoys for your squad. I don't know how useful that's gonna be. He's still a fun character to play in publics, but not gonna see any play in competitive whatsoever. Gibraltar is now nerfed even more. The fast heal that you get in Dome Shield is reduced to 15% now. It's a pretty game-changing change. Gibraltar might see less competitive play now because of this, but you might also see more competitive play because of Wraith, but I'll get into that later. So Watson is gonna have a big change. Instead of having permanent ults, they're gonna last for 90 seconds now. To counter that, you can now carry 2 ultimate excels per slot, and you can have up to 3 Watson pylons. Having up to 3 Watson pylons is not going to do anything. Back before you could place infinite pylons, it was really bad because when you place pylons a bit too far away from each other, you're going to have the healing bug. You're not going to heal off certain gens. So overall, this is more like a nerf because you're subconsciously going to place an extra pylon possibly, and that's going to just bug out and you won't be able to heal. So yeah, this is useless. The fact that you can stack 2 ultimate excels is pretty neat, but it was definitely needed since they only last for 90 seconds now. Overall, like a decent change to her. Not gonna be game changing whatsoever. She's still gonna be the most OP character in competitive play, and being picked by pretty much every single team. Hopefully, the lifeline change is gonna change it up a little bit, so that lifeline is gonna be replaced, but is gonna be able to replace Watson for some certain teams, like complexity, maybe SJP2. Because we see them W key a lot. So Wraith, arguably the biggest and most interesting change that's gonna happen. I wouldn't call it a nerf and I wouldn't call it a buff. I would just call it like a change to the overall kit, pretty much. So now she's not gonna be like a hyper aggressive opening fragger, etc. etc. Now you use Wraith for information. You use Wraith to portal for loot in competitive play, of course. And you use Wraith to portal for zones. You're not going to see Wraiths playing super aggressively, trying to get a pick on a team. You won't see that anymore because of the fact that it takes 1.5 seconds now to enter your queue, which is a lot of time. This is a big change. On the contrary, you now move 30% faster, which is... it's gonna make you like you can get information faster, like move from A to B faster, but like it's not that good. It's not like it's gonna make her fun in pubs, but it's not gonna be a game changer in competitive whatsoever. Wraith when she's in her queue now, she can see other people in the void. This is gonna be really good because in end zones when it gets really hectic, it's hard to find your teammates, nowhere to hide, etc. etc. You don't know where the enemies are. It's gonna lower the skill cap of Wraith queue or Wraiths in general, because before when you enter queue, you have to scan the area, make sure you know where everyone is, so you can pick a good position to stay at. So now it's gonna lower the skill cap, which I am not a fan of lowering the skill cap whatsoever, because it's gonna be less rewarding for good players. And I think good players should be rewarded all the time. But it is a nice change overall, I think. It's going to be interesting. The biggest change, arguably the biggest change from Wraith Kit, is that the distance from the portal is now decreased by 25%. If you didn't know already, the max range for a portal is 100 meters. 25%, that's now she's obviously only going to be able to portal 75 meters. Which is a big deal. It's a very big deal. You're not gonna be able to portal for some certain positions anymore. You're possibly not gonna be able to get a lot of game drops in competitive play. It's gonna be very interesting to see how people get used to this. Massive change overall. A really big change to Pathfinder is that now you are not able to reset like zipline bounce as fast as before. This change is only gonna affect the final end zone, where the zone is really small. So this is only a change for competitive, because you don't see ranked or public games go to the final zone. Basically, you're not gonna have time to keep bouncing inside the middle of the little zone. Teams like us, we're gonna be heavily affected by this, because our game strat is often about taking high ground, and then for the end zone we sit bounce into the final zone, we jump down when everyone's fighting, and then we take the dub. Now we're not going to be able to do that. Now we're going to be able to take the sit bounce for 2 seconds, and then we're forced to drop down. This is an indirect buff to Gibraltar, where now the domes are going to be way better for final zones, and Pathfinder is going to be not as strong for final zones anymore. Overall, not that happy for this. Havoc nerfed, less bullets, really nice. Not big enough nerf, but it's good. And then greatly increased horizontal recoil for the initial shots of burst. We're still gonna see Havoc being played. We're still gonna see people complain about Havoc, etc, etc. It's not a big enough nerf, in my opinion. Havoc is still gonna be super dominant. Overall, happy that the nerf did though. Sentinel's getting a buff. Rechamber time takes way less now. So we're gonna see Sentinel do way more DPS. And this might be enough to replace a longbow. Maybe. Energized duration increased by 30 seconds. Who the fuck cares? The disruptor on the Sentinel doesn't do anything anyway. Quality of life on caustic. I think I skipped the caustic. Yeah, I skipped the caustic. The best change overall is that caustic barrels can now be shot before they're fully inflated. We're not gonna see caustic in competitive anymore because of this. We're not gonna see caustic whatsoever in competitive. Possibly not even in ranked now. Caustic is totally useless. Great change. I'm so happy. I hate him. Some overall quality of life changes, like King's Canyon and World's Edge now having the same rotation time. It's campaign friendly, caustic traps, whatever. Bug fixes, fixes issues with some railing not being climbable. Pretty big. Big fan of it. It was really, really annoying in like the new areas of King Canyon where you couldn't climb the fence railings. I would die a lot because of it. So super happy about that. Overall, the rest of the bugs, it's not a big deal. This is it. Hope you enjoyed, guys.